New Brew Thursday! Woo! And we are doing part 2 of Dr. Bill's cigar and beer pairings.
Part 2, Fantôme.
Fantôme. So we bring Matt on and he just immediately takes over the show. I'm starting the show.
Hey.
I had to take command. I had to take command of my new domain.
It's initiative.
Exactly.
He walked in and peed all over me and he's like, you belong to me now. And I'm like, stop
He's
it.
like, okay, listen up. I'm the talent. Follow my lead.
I have some seriously potent pee, I just gotta say.
Potent pee.
Potent pee.
That's a hashtag.
Potent potables
Yeah,
for 200, Alex.
Potent pee, that is a hashtag. But anyways, we're doing Fantôme Noël from Fantôme, one of my personal favorite brewers.
And you picked this bottle up, actually.
I did, actually. I'm lucky we found it, so.
What year is this?
I think this is the most recent vintage. I think this is a 2010. They don't mark it, but the label changed last year.
There's an E marked and an O and a 13.
Oh, no kidding.
What does that mean?
Well, they code all of their bottles, but most of the time when you look at their bottles and you're like, I wonder what this code is, and they didn't actually mark it.
You have to find the secret decoder ring in one of the Fantôme bottles.
So. And this has the traditional
Ovaltine.
quality Fantôme label on the back.
This one got labeled after they had drank about 5 cases of Fantôme, apparently.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, there was some drunken aunt who just slapped that thing on there and did not care.
But this is kind of the wrong time of the year for this beer. This is a winter spice beer. It's kind of like a around the holidays kind of beer. So you pair it very similarly to that. You're going to do that like hearty beef stews, honey hams,
savory
kind of stuff. And since it's like, the surface of the sun outside today, I really was not in the mood for a big, huge like beef stew and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to stick with a straight up dessert pairing. I think one of you should open that bottle since it's going to take like a half an hour to open it.
Fine.
John,
Fantôme is one of those great breweries that they cap their bottles and they also cork them.
Yeah.
They're what you call anal.
Yes, they are. Who else does that? Because I know Cantillon does that.
Cantillon does it with a few. It's kind of a Belgian thing. I don't see a lot of American breweries doing that.
I think they should. I mean, it adds a certain level of like classiness.
Yeah. A little je ne sais quoi, if you will.
Exactly.
It's like, you had that opener, but do you have this opener?
Exactly. No.
How badly do you want to drink this beer?
You'll need both.
Yeah, no, the best part is you go to some big tasting and someone will come up with like a bottle of Cantillon and everyone's like, oh, I got my bottle, oh wait, and then there's the one guy in the back who's like, I have a corkscrew, so.
It's the dude that carries the Swiss Army knife with him everywhere he goes. And
exactly.
Yeah,
he paid $100 for it. His father gave it to him. It like was handed down 18 generations. And then the TSA guy takes it and throws it in the garbage.
Yeah.
What a dick.
Wow. Way to pigeonhole.
I hate TSA.
Swiss Army knife owners.
Everyone who's ever owned a Swiss Army knife is like
just venting about my personal experience
experience
with my Leatherman thing that I had, and the TSA person's like,
explains
sorry, this goes to the garbage. And I'm like, can't you just, no, like, I'm going to hijack a plane with a toothpick.
They did it with razors.
No, they didn't.
I had a TSA experience with my skateboard tool. It's like,
Oh,
just for skateboards. No,
Or like a drum tuner.
The drum key, yeah, it's a classic.
Well, now that Americans have been retrained not to be docile during a hostage situation, but to actually kill the person.
Yeah.
So.
True. Or in that case, overreact. Anyway, we're off track. Cheers.
Cheers to Fantôme. Now, this is a Saison style beer, as are all Fantômes. But Fantôme takes Saison to like all kinds of new levels.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it's a Saison because it's a Fantôme beer. But besides that, it could be anything. Like this is really more of like a strong dark Belgian, something like 10%.
Well, it's like a winter warmer beer.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's interesting because it has that like kind of plummy fig, dark fruit kind of character to it, but it also has like some nice spiciness and it's kind of rustic.
Which is why it works so well with like the beef stew and the red savory meats and the honey hams and kind of like the sweetness behind the meat. And while it'll work perfectly with this pecan pie.
I love Fantôme.
This has a bit of tartness on the nose.
Yeah.
It smells really good.
When I saw Fantôme on the calendar, I was just like counting the days. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, it does. It's got a little bit. It almost comes off as like Flemish ready.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Because I was actually looking at that Eau de Tart label and I'm going, kind of smells like Eau de Tart.
Yeah,
that's Flemish. So.
Yeah, it's got that like lacto sort of.
It's got a little bit of
hey,
phone
there's
ringing.
the telephone.
They're calling in to say how great this beer is.
Exactly.
Who can it be?
Like, yeah, it is like Flemish red.
Who can it be calling on my phone? Go away. Don't come around here no more.
My mom's on the phone. Call me back later, Mom. Yeah, sorry for that brief interruption. That was my mom. But yeah, it's got some tartness on the nose, which is interesting because it's not, you know, it's not, I would assume, not made to smell that way, but whatever he used in the beer, like, gave you that.
Most Fantomes, in my experience, have a bit of funkiness to them.
Yeah, it's like.
And so this has that as well. I think that, like, when I get off of it, like, I get the plum and the fig and the sweet winter warmer qualities on the front end, and as it gets through the mid palate, it just starts to get really funky,
Right.
and throws off that Flemish red kind of.
Yeah, it's like
Okay,
it's
yeah,
almost
I can
like
see that.
he's got to use like, you know, half a dozen different strains of yeast because, you know, one clean strain isn't going to throw.
Doesn't
that
want you to
off.
forget this is a saison. He
Yeah.
just like,
Well,
oh,
does he do-
it's a wintry beer. It has the plum and the fig
Right.
and everything, but it's still a saison. It still has
Yeah.
that funk.
It still has that rustic kind of character.
He does open
yeah.
fermentation
True,
though, too,
yeah.
right?
I don't know actually. Like from what I understand, he's pretty like secretive about his what he does.
No one
like,
who's
and
ever taken a
cryptic.
tour of Fantome has ever lived to tell about it. It's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It's more evidence that the man is actually Willy Wonka. He stopped
Yeah.
making chocolate and went to beer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he actually has a waterfall of beer. You know, churns it up, keeps it frothy.
That he drowns little fat kids in, and then Oompa Loompas sing about them.
They're
Yeah,
not
exactly.
kids. They're over 18.
Augustus Galoob. Augustus
It's
Galoob
Europe,
is
though.
still.
never
So
know.
no, all their songs are about underage drinking.
Do you guys
That's
get
why
that?
you don't do it.
A little taste of Augustus Galoob.
Augustus Galoob, yeah.
Just on the, is it just the nose? Or?
I thought it tasted slightly German. So
All right, so I'm
yeah,
gonna eat pie because I
That's
keep
fine.
looking at it and you guys keep talking about it. And we're doing a nice pecan pie, and perhaps you remember we've done pecan pie on the show before.
You know, I have an admission to make. This is actually the first time I've ever had pecan pie.
Whoa.
Really?
I know, it's never an experience. It's always like, I'm like, you know, odd nut looking thing on my beer. I'm going to go with meringue, you know? So,
Well, I hope you like it. It's one of my
I always
favorites.
thought you liked nuts on your things.
oh, it's so easy. Come on.
Well, I know, but I
He
mean, that's-
jumps on the easies. The low-hanging fruit, he's all over.
He's on attack mode.
That's almost a butterscotchy kind of thing.
Dude, it goes great with the beer, though.
Have you guys had pecan ice cream?
like a pumpkin pie would work really good too. But I already had my one piece of pumpkin pie this year, so will not have any more of it.
Really? It's kind of early in the
year?
year.
Well, no, within the last 12 months.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
I have one piece of pecan pie every 12 months.
Pumpkin.
And you mean pumpkin?
And that was
You mean
cycle.
pumpkin? You said pecan, you mean pumpkin?
pumpkin. Yeah, pumpkin pie. And I wasted that on the Surly Coffee Bender Master Pairings. episode we did.
Yes, you did. Speaking of master pairings,
Oh, yeah.
Well done.
We may have one of those.
Well, I think we do have one of those, and I think it's not going to include food again. So, like Matt said, this is part 2 of our 4-part cigar pairing. So, Bill and John Calabrese will be joining him with James Sunderland from the Tobacco Barn in Lake Forest. So, go over there.
Hi everyone, welcome to another Master Pairings with your host, Bill Sysak, known as Dr. Bill in the craft beer community. This is part 2 in our 4-part series on pairing beer and cigars. Once again, I'm with John Calabrese, a frequent fan of the show who's been on before with my beer and food pairing.
Good to see you, Bill.
Good to see you, John. And once again, we have James, who is at the Tobacco Barn in Lake Forest, and he's one of the cigar experts here.
Hi, guys. Pleasure to be here.
So, James, tell us a little bit about the cigar we're having now. Now, what we did a little bit differently in the first episode, John's been smoking his for a little while. So
Right.
he's actually gone into almost starting on to the second third of the cigar. I just lit mine, so I've got it going. And then I think what we'll do is, why don't you talk about the right way to light the cigar after you tell us what it is with a match.
Yeah, I'd love to. What we're smoking now is it's a classic cigar. I really like this one a lot. It's the 601 Blue Label Maduro, and it's by EO Brands, Eddie Ortega and Eric Espinoza, and they really make great cigars. We had a chance to meet Eric here. Eddie Ortega. He came here, and we had a great event with him. And it's always been a cigar that at the Tobacco Barn here really been a fan of. So it's a great Maduro, as you can tell, full bodied,
Really
a lot of
luscious.
flavor. Medium to full, it depends on everybody else. But I'm gonna go ahead and light it here, and we have a kind of primitive mechanism. We just have a rock and some matches, but honestly, we get the most compliments about this rock and matches, more so than any fancy lighter that we've had in the shop. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of strike a match here, and just toast the foot of the cigar, kind of getting it ready.
And that's just kind of bringing it up to temperature, right?
Yeah, in all honesty, it's my favorite way to light cigars, and it might take me, 4 or 5 matches to light it completely. I won't do that right now, but when you do that, you're giving the tobacco a chance to really, warm up, and so then when you pull on it and you do a drag, the tobacco is calmed down, and it's not like it's hot. So that spice or that bitterness or that real pepper that you might get immediately from lighting a cigar with a torch, that might have to do with just the temperature of it. So I really love lighting it with matches. Or a, what's it called? A Spanish cedar split.
Yeah, I've done both many times. I used to always keep going to my local cigar shop and pick up cedar strips so I can do that and light it. That's always fun. I actually saw an episode that they did on Cigar Aficionado on their podcast where he was reliving how he was, and also there was another one where he was taught how to light a cigar without removing the cap with the matches.
Yeah,
that seemed very time-consuming, but very interesting. The technique that was done.
And it kind of makes sense too. I mean, if you get a bit torch lighter and you're shooting on this gas at the cigar where it's actually going inside, if you have the cap on though, I guess you have a little bit of that back pressure. So, there's
it won't be drawing through.
Yeah, there's a right way to do it. There's the purest way, and then there's that way.
Yeah.
Which is fine, and that's kind of the fun of everything is just getting into these nuances. And, but it lit pretty well. I mean, pretty fast.
It's a lovely cigar.
Yeah.
It's complex, but it's smooth, and I'm further along than Bill, getting more spice in it.
But
I like the fact it's the shape. I'm a golfer. This would be a real nice golf course cigar since it's flat pressed on 2 sides. You can rest it on a tee and not set it on the grass.
Sure.
You don't want to get the butt of or the cap end of the cigar on the grass and pick up chemicals and things. But real nice and smooth, well constructed, good draw on it. Excellent cigar.
So today, what I thought I'd pair with this, because this has some beautiful flavors. Why don't you tell them a little bit about the flavors there, James, that you're picking up?
Well, like a nice winter beer, I get the Maduro, you get a little bit of that sweetness on the finish. You get that lingering, that aroma is just kind of sweet. It still has the body, it still has the weight of some of those, white pepper, black pepper. It's just not over the top though. It's just a very well balanced cigar, and overall it just has a nice little sweet kind of finish to it.
Yes.
I can't really pinpoint it to like a direct fruit or something, but maybe like fig, date, around that area.
So kind of a dried fruit. Sorry, Bill.
No, go ahead.
A slight hint of dried fruit. There's some woodiness, but not overbearing up front. A touch of spice in the background, but not like a cinnamon strong spice. But it's a good balance of complexity, if that makes any sense to me.
I think you nailed it.
So what I think will go fabulously with this is I have a Fantôme Noël, Fantôme de Noël. It's from Dany Prignon out of Soy, Belgium, and he's a famous artisanal saison producer. This is his winter beer. It's actually 10%, so it's fairly high alcohol for the style of beers that he makes. Really interesting beer, a lot of depth of flavor. He actually adds all kinds of crazy components to it. This is going to have caramel, honey, pepper, and also some coriander, or cardamom, cardamom. And so it should be really interesting. So did you already take a sip?
Yes.
You bum. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
All right, so he's always ahead. He had the cigar lit already. Now he's drinking the beer first. So cheers, everyone.
That was your idea.
And there's tartness to this, which is really fun with this beer in the nose.
The smell of it alone kind of reminds me of the aroma of the cigar. I'm thinking in a cabin, somewhere that's, it's cold outside, you get a rich cigar, you get something that has that dry fruit, that winter fruit, maybe a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg.
And not only that, you could have your cigar with this and take another bottle of this into dinner with you, a rich winter dinner. This is definitely a winter beer. You've got a nice cigar. Good complexity on both these.
Yeah, there's fig, date, and you get that both in the cigar and the beer. There's a lot of the winter fruits that you guys are talking about, you know, figs, dates, raisin, things like that come in really well with this. There's a hint of tartness on the back end to refresh your palate, and I think it pairs really well. Just like, go ahead, John.
You also mentioned it has a little bit of cardamom in the beer, and picked up that flavor, and it plays in with all the cigar flavors really well.
It does. It's a fabulous beer. I think Fantomes, I discovered them, 15 years ago easily, if not lot longer, maybe almost closing on 20. And he makes amazing beers, a lot of complexity, very underrated as far as the saisons that he does, because they're different from bottle to bottle. They vary, and that's part of the fact of being an artisanal producer. But I think it really is a beautiful combination.
Yeah, you know what? I always think that beer kind of overpowers the cigar. That's me coming from a cigar standpoint. I really want to enjoy the cigar. But this one, I would actually say that maybe the cigar is overpowering the beer just slightly.
Just a little bit.
Which to me is unusual.
Well, I started smoking the cigar a while before we opened up the beer.
Yeah.
And I think they complement each other really well. In this case, as a beer connoisseur, cigars tend to just blow away the beer and wipe out your palate. This time, having a bit of the cigar first and get going, then having the beer, it's really balanced out. This is a really nice pairing. Yeah. They work really well together, and and these are all readily available products.
Yeah, I love this beer, and I love it with the cigar. I think you guys will be really happy. Like John said, one of the things about beer, you can have a big rich meal, and the carbonation in the beer cleanses your palate every sip. Works the same way with the cigars. Yeah. If you're having the cigar, you're getting all these intense flavors, especially from a nice Maduro wrapped cigar like this. And what happens is every time you take a sip of the beer, it refreshes your palate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a great cigar. This is, it's a pairing that I'm going to write down. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. It's really good. I look forward to drinking this in the winter.
I think the middle third of the cigar is even going to be more fabulous, which is what you're experiencing right now.
It really picks up in the complexity and the smoothness. You just want to keep puffing on it. Really well made cigar, really well.
And, Fantome has one called Chocolat.
Chocolat, yes.
And that has a little bit of chili and cacao or something like that.
Yeah, cacao. And so that's a really fun cigar.
Yeah, I remember drinking that one time and just thinking in my head, I gotta smoke this with like a 6-in-1. I gotta smoke this with a rich, full cigar. And so it's cool. This is even this is a little bit more body, maybe a little bit richer.
Right, because it's even though the Chocolat has those those wonderful adjuncts that add to the flavor of the beer, it's still a light colored bodied beer, more of a true saison style. So you're not getting the caramelized malt notes, which you do from here. Whenever you roast the malts, then it's going to play in more intensity. That's why the bigger cigars you'll find you want to have the imperial stouts and the really roasty things because they balance off better.
So Bill, for some people who wouldn't be able to find a Fantôme Noël, what's a widely distributed beer that would pair well with a Maduro, a rich cigar like this?
Well, I think if you wanted to, because this is kind of a medium-bodied, would you call it?
Yeah,
medium to full?
It depends on the person.
Right.
In general, I would say medium, maybe medium plus. To some people, that's full though.
Right.
And the first time I smoked this cigar, I was blown away. I mean, it really made me sit down. And then I began smoking it more and more and more. And now to me, I don't consider it a very full-bodied cigar.
So I think you could go for a range. You definitely want a darker beer. You can do a nice porter that's not high ABV, like a smoked porter, like at Stone or Alaskan. You could also do a Belgian double, keeping kind of the Belgian motif. That'd be good. But you could definitely go up into the quads, like a La Trappe quad, or a Rochefort 10. A Chimay Blue would be fabulous with this beer.
And there's a beer you can find
a
lot
and
of
Chimay
places.
Blue is all across the country, so that's really easily accessible to go with this.
Yeah, the same thing in the cigar stance. A Perdomo 10th anniversary Maduro would also do really well with this, I think. And for a special occasion, if it is Christmas dinner afterwards or something like that, the Fuente Añejo would be phenomenal with this.
I can see
the
that,
thing is, it's just so rich, and it would just knock it out of the park. It would be so good.
I think it was great. I think it was a great pairing, and I appreciate you gentlemen coming.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you guys for watching another great Master Pairing. Cheers, everyone. Hey everyone, here's a tip on the proper cutting of a cigar. Today I have Chelsea. She's one of the cigar experts at the Tobacco Barn here in Lake Forest.
So the most commonly used way to cut a cigar is with a guillotine cutter. You've got 2 blades for a very even cut. What we're going to do is what we call a straight cut, and you don't want to cut past the cap on the cigar. It's a line that follows just around the top there.
Otherwise, you'll unravel, right?
Yeah, it's never good. So what you want to do is delicately place the blades on that cap and squeeze evenly on both sides.
Beautiful. What if I have a cigar like this?
Ah, torpedoes. Those are my favorites. So what you do for a torpedo is what we like to call a 45-degree angle. Instead of putting your cutter straight to the cap, you twist it at a 45-degree angle, and again, evenly squeeze, and there you go.
We're back from Master Pairings, and since we did not have much of a food pairing for you because of the heat, we thought we'd do a little side-by-side. And side-by-side action.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I actually came across a bottle of the Fantôme Noël from the previous year, and because Dany is notorious for, changing things up slightly.
We're just not keeping notes.
Exactly. Then, it might be cool to, try them both.
So I'm going to open the second one.
Don't mess it up.
You better re-pour the
So yeah, this is literally a side-by-side of the two, which I think is a very fun thing to do.
I can't seem to get this into
You
the
have a
cork.
knife. Slice it.
Well, I hope there's enough beer left in this one.
Oh, can I take a moment to teach the audience how to open a beer if you don't have a corkscrew and you just have a scimitar lying around?
Scimitar.
You
Sure, if
you
you'd
wanna
like.
open that beer, dude? Like,
Would you shut up? This is an awkward...
Okay, just
that
focus.
cork is
Focus.
officially mangled.
It's
Focus.
not mangled at all.
Concentrate.
You're such a...
Just focus.
Who
So good.
asked him to be on the show?
Oh, Steve, you're
Focus.
scaring me, buddy. Hold the thing. Don't
Oh my God. Hi. Next week's episode,
I
I'll be wearing
remember
a
my
bib.
first time opening up a beer.
I'm just.
There we go.
So this is 2009.
2009, I believe, yeah.
Cool.
So,
And this is the 2010.
Well, thank you for providing us with this beer, Matt.
you're very welcome.
It's
It's my way
quite a
of
tasty treat.
sucking up to y'all because I'm on the show now.
So what do we try first?
I'm gonna say go with the one that we just had
All right.
because keep it fresh in the mind. I would say.
Wash out the pecan pie.
Still smells tarty. I love it.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna get more of like a double sort of strong dark Belgian. I didn't think I was gonna get that like kind of tartness to it. So
Right.
yeah, I'm wondering if the older one is going to have even more of that because it's been aging for a fairly decent amount
Get
of time.
more of the bacteria is grown.
Yeah, exactly.
Perhaps, yeah.
Sounds like an ex-girlfriend of mine. But yeah.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah,
2009?
Cheers it up. Oh.
Cheers to 09. But yeah, this is definitely way more tart.
It doesn't smell.
This has less of the it doesn't have as much aroma on it. It has a lot less of the plum and the fig and the spice that you get off of the other Noel.
Does anyone get like a nail polishy smell off of it?
It shows the alcohol a little bit more.
Kind
I would
of.
say. It's a little bit rougher, but
That
it's
was not
definitely
me like hinting at something. I just hit you.
I was just
it definitely has a little
flirting.
bit more acid to it. But
Yeah, it's the alcohol's more pronounced, but it's got a lot more of an acetic quality to it.
yeah, almost more of that like vinegary kind of vibe. Yeah, it's still really good though.
Yeah, it's tasty.
It has more of like that cherry kind of.
Yeah.
I would not have paired this with pecan though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
Which is odd because
So this is the same
you
beer.
would almost need to know like the vintage of the Fantôme to
I mean,
pair it.
Exactly.
It's both. These are both Noels.
Yeah, but this is something that's kind of standard with
Yeah.
the Fantôme is that it's just you can have double vintages, and
gonna be
they're going to
great.
be completely different beers.
It's gonna be good. It's just gonna
Yeah.
be
Yeah,
different.
like I had the Hiver, which I believe is the winter. I had one like I think the year before was almost like a red beer de garde, where it was like low in carbonation and the yeast was kind of less pronounced. But then the year after, it was like pale yellow. It was way more carbonated. It was a little bit more like barnyardy. It was really interesting.
Yeah, this is a little earthy, like for me too. It's kind of like it tastes a little dirty, I guess. If that's what I want to describe earthy as.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's almost like
that.
like peppery, like spicy peppery
Yeah.
to me.
I get a little bit of all that on there. I think that's just it's got a lot. It's a very complex bottle. It's got a lot of stuff going on, and I think
Which is indicative of
That's also a
Fantome.
very trademarky Fantome thing.
For
you
sure.
know, so.
Yeah.
It tastes great though. It's really interesting to see the difference between the two. Because
Yeah.
if you don't know anything about Fantome, you just get I know Wells,
Right.
cool. No, it's completely different. You might not.
Yeah, and
Whatever, noob.
Well, I didn't know it. You know.
The Fantome bottles are going to be very hard to find. It is something that's limited released in the United States, although we do get a lot more of it than we used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's a product of Belgium out of a very, very, very small brewery.
They actually have a pretty expansive cabinet.
Yeah.
Because they have like their main saison, and then they have beer for every season. They have winter, fall, summer, spring. But then they also have like La Dalmatienne, which is the Dalmatian, which is I have no idea what it is.
Right.
It's delicious. I know
It's
that.
very
but
spotty.
yeah, exactly. But then they have the chocolat, and then they have like a dandelion beer,
Right.
like all kinds of wacky stuff. But
Yeah, Bill and I last year went to a private Fantome tasting at somebody's house
That I missed.
and did 47 different Fantome beers.
all of which were
Yeah,
radically different.
All of them were radically different and were
Is
amazing.
this the new? Which one's the
This
new
is
one?
this. Yeah, this is that one.
Yeah,
I missed out on that.
Yeah, I missed that too.
failed.
I was so mad. I had to.
and it just goes to show.
I
mean,
did
this
not.
is-
It was all kinds of awesome and amazing, and I still dream about it at night. So thank you, Jason, for hosting that.
Yeah.
He's dreaming about Jason.
Thanks a
now.
lot.
What we're trying to say is that
Pre-commitments.
this is a brewery that is very much worth exploring their catalog.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really
absolutely.
hard to miss. With
I can kind
Fantome
of,
beer.
being new to homebrewing, I can kind of see why he'd want to be like this, just because I'd love to be able to make a great double IPA, and that's an art in and of itself. But it's really fun to like just come up with stuff off the top of your head and throw it into a beer.
You know, it's funny because
Because it's like, well, what would that taste like? And you're not just randomly coming up with stuff, and because that's going to taste horrible, or it couldn't. It might not, but
it's more likely to taste
if you
horrible,
put some
yeah.
thought into it and say, okay, this could taste good because this way, because of this and this and this, it's more exciting that when you brew it.
You know,
I
it's
think.
it seems to me like Fantome is the closest like Belgian brewery to the American craft breweries, like like the Brewery, for example, or Dogfish Head, where they will go
It's
all
the
out.
extreme version.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna throw in agave nectar and jalapenos in our beer or whatever. Fantome, he's very willing to experiment in that way, and I think it's
Yeah.
really interesting, especially coming out of Belgium, where you have those like kinds of rustic flavors. And that kind of tradition that you can just completely go off of.
Yeah.
Well, and it's nice because just like with the cigar pairing, this is not a beer that you would typically think of when you're thinking about having a cigar.
I know, yeah.
Sure.
But it works really well. It's very versatile. It's very worth trying out.
Absolutely.
So
I
what did
think
you guys like better? Which one? Which year?
I like this year's better simply because I felt like it was more true to the style of a spiced winter beer.
Yeah, I think I like this year's more too, or 2010's. Just I like the tartness on it. It smelled really good, kind of more complex than this on the smell. This, like I said, has something going on with it. I can't put my finger on.
I gotta go with the 09 just because it kind of has that like musty like cellar quality to it, which
Oxidized, kind of.
oxidize in a way, but like if you have certain like beer
Oxidization's not always a bad thing in a
Yeah.
solid beer. So I
yeah,
mean,
kind of like
true.
diacetyl. I mean, if there's
Right.
a little bit of it, it's more going to add complexity than anything with certain like English beers. But no, like if you have certain beer de garde, they will have a kind of like mustiness to it, like almost like an oxidized like papery kind of thing. But it just kind of adds that next level, and I'm getting a little bit out of that, a little bit of that out of this, which along with the acidity and along with the fruit, I kind of kind of all adds up to
Bradley?
a big pile of delicious.
Which did you like the best?
I'm glad that you said what you said because I unfortunately have the same opinion where I like the 2010. Just because I
Well,
know.
screw you guys, whatever.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
nice.
a good thing, I think.
Newbie.
that we have. It just shows you that everyone has different tastes, and
Right.
these are both great beers, and that all beer connoisseurs can like all of them. Or
Yeah,
one of them.
and that's also the nature of
it's
fandom.
Or none of them, yeah.
We're not universally like this sucks, this is good. We all have our own take on it,
Yeah.
Well, it's 1,000 degrees, and
not
I'm
really. It's
I'm
like
gonna die.
71 in the
I'm gonna
cells.
die right now.
71.
So we're gonna wrap this up and say cheers to Fantome, cheers to the Tobacco Barn, and
Cheers to Matt for bringing the beer.
cheers to you for being you.
Can we
Cheers.
clink?
Actually, I don't want to cheers. I want to wait till he dies.
Oh God.
What? Steve said he
All
was
right.
about to die.
Peace out.
I wanted to see that. I'm not gonna cheers until you drop.
Cheers.
Cheers.
God, dick.
Stay safe and drink beer.
Oh yeah. 110 episodes, and I finally forgot to say it. All right.
Well done.